Hi folks, this is Dino Bob back in Vembre Park, and this time I'm going to show off and talk a little bit about how this zoo is being built. And you can see we're in the entrance building now, um, and I've tricked this out with a tropical roof, even though the rest of it isn't terribly tropical, uh, for reasons, because it's built in a tropical environment. So we're going to start a little bit of light theming. Um, Obviously non-functional guest services and accessibility services, but the cafe on the other side there is functional, at least as much as they are in the game right now, but that should be changing. And then the main entry area plaza with its water feature, still unfinished. A lot of this is unfinished, and we're moving toward something you've seen before, which is the ticketing area. And we're going to fix that one today and bring in its theming. You'll also notice something in the back there, and we'll be talking about that later. So this is the speed build portion, and I'm using much more of the tropical materials for the theming on this. And that's going to be something that will be cropping up frequently throughout the park. At least that's the plan at this point. This is using 4 of the standard ticket entrances, and then my own build for the accessibility entrances. Those have their gates closed just to keep our able guests from plowing through there. Just a little bit more for the verisimilitude. So the wooden boards on this are recolorable, which is great. Pretty much any color is better than the one it comes in, but that's okay. You recognize it pretty quickly as an option and know what you're getting. So I was making this up as I went along. I knew I wanted the 2 structures on either end of this, and then something bridging that. And obviously, that's in place. And continuing to argue with the modular pieces about which orientation they need to have in order to go along with a nice corner. So added posts in the back there and put a roof on it, and you saw those poles sticking up high, and that was for the sign. So this is the zoo's name sign. I will spare you the manipulation of the letters to spell it out. So once I get the board up here, you'll see me start, and then we'll jump to there it is, the park's name. And put a little decoration up there on that sign as well. I stumbling over myself again today. I knew it needed more detailing to both be convincing and to be interesting. So added that sort of screen fence to either side of the ticket counters, finished the roof, added some footings for the posts that are not on the path, and shuttered windows. We don't worry about their lighting, and we will have a jump shortly, so you don't have to sit through all the windows going in. Made some adjustments so everything worked better once I got through the general idea. I wanted to add doors for the staff, and the height was wrong, so used the marvelous ability to change the size of pieces to create a custom stair step for the door here for the staff, and then just copy it and move it over. Really easy. Putting in a fence on either side, there's a chasm there, so we need to keep our guests out of it. And we want them going where we want them going, not anywhere. So the fence is in, and then rocks to either side of the bridge across the river. The oh geez, I got distracted by watching what was happening. I used habitat environment fence to provide more wall because it's kind of on the piece count, and expanded the rocks that I'm putting in here so that it looks a little more interesting along the river edge and such. This is the second attempt. I had an inadvertent deletion at one point, so I had to come in and redo those rocks and redo these plantings to either side of the building. And the next step will be to finish decorating out the plantings on the bridge, which will also be part of the speed build. A little bit of bamboo screening and a little bit of vegetation so it's not so bland. And yep, zooming around. So before I did the bridge, I also decided that this central area in this path circle needed the attention of our grounds crew. So a large tree for the centerpiece, and a water feature with aquatic plants, and lay in some rocks, and then again using the habitat fences makes it much faster to come around and enclose this than using modular. And the devs have done a good job on doing some really nice 1 meter fences that keep guests out and look good. So I expect I will be continuing to use those because I like them. So I needed to bridge the gap on the fences and also set up a pretend gate for staff to use so that they can access that area just between the park proper and the river. And always with the little fussy adjustments. This is me changing the color to something a little more congenial to blend with the other colors. And the final bit is trimming out the accessibility gates to make them a little more integrated into the structure. Well, the final bit for the building build, we've still got the groundskeeping crew to do their work on the plantings for the bridge and a couple of details to trick out the bridge. Because one thing you may have noticed, there hasn't been any lighting yet, and I needed to get that stuff in as well. I went with a very simple planting layout for this bridge. I didn't want it to be too grandiose. I wanted to bring in some color and some variety of color. Not a ton, because this is not the be-all and end-all of the coolest things to see in the zoo, but I wanted it to have sort of a little more welcoming sense getting into the park. And I really wish they had gone with something other than dead white for the tops and bottoms and edges of some of the modular pieces, but they didn't. So a lot of trimming going on when those tops are exposed, like here. And the posts for this I thought needed some lighting. Well, they needed caps too, and taking care of that now. So just the four corners, and I'm going to pick one of my favorite lamps after I try a few things to think about something different, and ended up decided that rather than using the common one I use, I wanted to use something more tropical. And these faux tiki torches seem to fit the bill for me. And so I put them in. A few more tweaks, and now we'll take a little walk through to that structure that was in the back I told you about. And you will see part of the thematics here is this park will be divided according to where the animals were found. So this is, the first section is Asia, which is why we started with Psittacosaurus and Tyrannosaurus. So we're in Asia now, and we're coming across the river bridge, which you saw actually no speed build of in the last one. And this is inspired by a Chinese bridge. You'll notice it carries the color that was in that viewing area. And ahead of us we see the main Asia Center building, which is a large elaborate building which even the speed build would have filled up one of these short videos. The inspiration for this building leans toward Tibetan architecture, or Mongolian, I forget which, Mongolian I think. I tried to keep the pieces to ones that are convenient to do in the game. This has already been set up with its lighting, and it's not trimmed out to the max, but we do have that little fountain effect going and a little bit of a restaurant inside, because this structure I actually ended up having to break down into multiple structures so that the groups wouldn't get too huge. I never did finish the lighting in here, it looks like. So it's simply right now relying on the lighting that comes with the nutrition modules. There's one of each in here. So let's head upstairs. As you can see, the guests definitely use these stairs. I don't know how well it would work if the crowds get really huge, but right now it's working. By the time we get up here, I've actually put some lighting in up here. Styracosaurus is really not a good Asian animal, but it was the most congenial for the color blends that I wanted to have for going with this building, because I was using the distressed wood pieces to make up the railing. Give a little bit of sense of age on there. So on the front of the building, you can look back to the bridge we came across, and somewhere in the distance, mostly out of sight, is the entrance to the zoo, and the Tyrannosaurus exhibit over there in its viewing area. But there's another viewing area up here, and it's next to the care building for the animals. So we'll go past the sunshade gallery here, and those two towers, which ultimately will hold the faux elevators to the Tyrannosaurus presentation, shown off by the silhouette. Staff only to the left, where the care facility is and the shelter for the animals. You're not going to see much of that in this video, I think, as I recall. And, we'll give you a little bit of animal time here, since they're in the screenshot for the title card. And we're coming up to the end of the time frame, because I'm not a big time enough YouTuber for them to want to give me a lot of time. They want folks with my level of viewing keeping it on the short side, so we're under 15 minutes. Anyway, pull out and finish on an overview of the whole thing. There's a teaser for what's coming in the distance there. You can see I already laid up some of the habitat, and you can get a look at the care building on the right. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed it. Get longer time if there are more subscribers, commenters, and likes on the channel. So for now, this is Dino Bob signing off. Be kind to each other out there. Take care. We'll be back next week with another animal.